On my recent trip to Tokyo, I took a budget Android handheld with me just for those random downtimes at the airport or the Airbnb, so I just decided to try out Xbox Cloud Gaming again, cause why not? And I was playing Cyberpunk and Assassin's Creed Valhalla on this cheap little handheld with only 4 gigs of RAM. Even though I've always been a big supporter of cloud gaming as a whole, this is no doubt the best time I've had with this so far. And I'm someone who's been using Xbox Cloud Gaming since it launched all the way back in 2020. Even compared to last year where it was already really good, this is easily the best it's ever been. Back home in Korea, I've got great internet, so cloud gaming has always worked super well at home since years ago, but my experience on other Wi-Fi networks or weaker 4G speeds has been a bit spotty. But now in terms of resolution, the frame rates and bit rates on these public networks like the free Wi-Fi at the Incheon International Airport, this worked way better than I expected it to be, and it's really only been a year. It's not like some compromise, I guess this works kind of situation, but it's actually really fun and the resolution is not like some fuzzy stream video like it used to look, even with the lesser Wi-Fi. It's actually super clear even when it was only running on lower bit rates. And to be clear, the device I was running all this on was my Absolute One Pro, which is a pretty budget Android handheld with only 4 gigs of RAM. So this wasn't some powerful gaming handheld PC like a Steam Deck or even a mid-range one, just a cheap little handheld. Sometimes, of course, the Wi-Fi just wasn't good at all, like at the Tokyo airport where I couldn't really cloud game at all or even watch a YouTube video. And on stronger but still not the fastest Wi-Fi like back at the Tokyo Airbnb, there were moments where the connection got a bit shaky and the resolution dipped for like a short stretch, but it recovered pretty quickly back to full res. But the bigger takeaway for me is just what this means for the infrastructure side of things. If this can hold up reliably on most parts of my trip back to back across 2 different countries, that's Xbox Cloud Gaming being a lot more mature and stable than ever. A few years ago, I would have been very hesitant about bringing this to any trip or even trying it on airport Wi-Fi, so this experience has been pretty huge. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that the Android experience with Xbox Cloud Gaming using the Xbox Cloud Gaming PWA, it's always been the weakest link out of this whole Xbox Cloud Gaming ecosystem. Compared to playing on a TV or in VR, the Android PWA experience, which works by installing it from the browser, has always just felt a little bit behind. Limited resolution, inconsistent frame rates, no official Play Store app. It kind of felt like the version they forgot to really flesh out. So for a while, if you were playing on Android, you're kind of just accepting a worse experience for the service. But that's where Better xCloud completely changed everything. It's a third-party open source app, totally free, and what it does is force higher resolutions and better frame rates than the default web browser PWA experience. The difference is huge, way sharper, way more consistent, and what was wild was that gaming on Better xCloud is so good, it actually feels clearer and more performant than playing the same games natively on my Steam Deck. I know a lot of you guys are going to kill me, but that's a real thing I'm admitting. Now, of course, there's still some level of latency you can't fully get rid of since your inputs in the video still have to do a round trip through a data center, but it's way less noticeable than it sounds. Playing Cyberpunk or Assassin's Creed at the Korea airport or the Tokyo Airbnb, my experience never felt broken or interrupted. The only instance I would maybe think twice is for playing serious competitive multiplayer shooters where you're really trying to win. But for casually playing anything, even those shooter games, this is more than enough. So yeah, for Android specifically, don't use the default PWA option by Xbox. The Better xCloud app is a way to go. There's really a huge reason why this trip went so well and how I view Xbox Cloud Gaming as something that's really mature now. So the Android experience is obviously what I spent most of my free time on during the trip, but I also wanted to do some honorable mentions of other ways to play Xbox Cloud Gaming, which are honestly even better ways to play it. TV cloud gaming is still probably the most plug-and-play setup you can get for cloud gaming on a big screen. No console to buy, no extra hardware sitting under your TV. You just open the Xbox app, connect a controller, and you're in. And that experience has grown and performs really well in 2026. It's ultra smooth, it's got improved sharpening and better frame rates, it looks super sharp and feels 99% there in terms of feeling native besides it not being 4K. For anyone who just wants a clean living room setup without a commitment to buying an actual console, this is honestly the best experience for that. For a similar performance but a much more immersive experience, playing Xbox Cloud Gaming in VR is the way to go. Doing this with the Meta Quest 3 was surprisingly such a great experience. It's just as responsive and so much more immersive since you have this massive screen floating in front of you, which can make even larger if you want. I honestly don't find much use for VR and this headset collects dust all the time, but this is one of those few things that made me glad that I at least own one. So when you look at all the platforms together in 2026, Xbox Cloud Gaming is actually a great all-around experience. VR is probably the most immersive way to play right now. Streaming on TV is still the easiest and most convenient for your living room. Android with Better xCloud has finally cut up to the point where it's a real option rather than something you're just kind of tolerating. And since all progress and games come from the cloud, you can play using one of these or all the above, which is awesome. But honestly, more than the performance itself, what makes Xbox Cloud Gaming a way easier recommendation now is just the new pricing structure. Because for a long time, if you wanted cloud gaming, you basically had to be on the most expensive Game Pass Ultimate plan. That was definitely a turnoff for people, including me. But as of right now, all 3 Game Pass tiers include cloud gaming, so you can cloud with the cheapest monthly plan now and you don't have to be paying the most expensive one. I've been asking for this forever, so this is a pretty big deal. Of course, each tier limits to what games you get available in your Game Pass, but all 3 tiers also let you stream games you already own from the Xbox store. So if you've been buying games outright on Xbox over the years, you can just stream all those too and you don't have to worry about them getting taken out of the Game Pass catalog. That completely changes how you think about the value here because now the monthly subscription isn't your only source for games to play through the cloud. You got your own library too. I am on the mid-tier premium plan, which honestly has everything I need. The Game Pass catalog for this plan is still around 200 plus games, and for the way I actually play, that's more than enough. The big sell of Ultimate over Premium is that you get day one access to every first-party Microsoft release right now when it drops, like the newest Halo or Forza or whatever. But honestly, that extra $8 a month just hasn't been worth it for how I personally game. I can just wait or just buy it when I actually want it. So since you can stream your own purchased Xbox Store games on any tier, my thinking is to gradually buy the games I actually will replay a ton from the Xbox Store, and then eventually just downgrade down to the Essential plan at $9.99 a month, so I'll be mostly streaming from my own library instead of paying more monthly for access to a bigger catalog. That said though, I'm still figuring out if that's actually the right call for me long term, still need to feel it out a bit more before I fully commit to that. But yeah, the biggest takeaway here is that the Ultimate plan isn't the only way to get cloud gaming. You can cloud game on any plan, which makes it really accessible. You can just go with the cheapest plan to access it, which is what I've been asking for a long time. Alright, so putting everything together, Xbox Cloud Gaming in 2026 is in a really good place. Between the trip to Japan, the enhanced streaming options on Android, the still great experiences on TV and in VR, and the new Game Pass pricing model, everything is just way better and more flexible than it was even compared to a year ago. If you've been on the fence about trying Xbox Cloud Gaming, or you tried it a few years back and you were kind of disappointed, this is actually a really good year to try it again. Alright, so those are all my thoughts about Xbox Cloud Gaming right now. If you're playing it right now, let me know in the comments what your experience has been with Xbox Cloud Gaming. If you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you could click that like button, and for more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to stay tuned for those. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.